Well, it says we're live and we should be back with you. So, hey, thanks everybody for sticking with us, popping along. And we will call this part 2. And I've literally given up with Virgin Media and switched over to the other box, which is it's the box that I use when I'm out and about. And it's saying that we've got really good internet. So I tell you what, before that starts playing up, we'll start the show. This is the point where it started playing up. So let's, Mr. Bear, can you hit it? Yeah, let's hit it. Here we go. And I tell you what, we'll just turn that down a little bit. This is just a final little section where everything decided to go wrong, and certainly didn't want anybody to miss any of it. So we moved along from the Friday, and this is the Saturday. Little couple of tiny bit of highlights of the red arrows.
Opposite directions down the line. As they cross each other, they'll roller coaster before extending away, pulling up into three-quarter loops and meeting again in the middle in the boomerang. All go calls red 6, the red and blue smoke changing to white. 6 and 7 pulling up into half horizontals, the nose coming over the horizon, pointing 60 degrees nose down before rolling erect, flying down the line and crossing again in front of us.
It does help though sometimes, doesn't it, if you have a spare internet box. So what are we using? I'm using a 3, and it's on the, actually, we're getting this on 5G, so it's blasting out. Fingers crossed.
Aerobatic team,
So you'll have noticed there the differences in the wingtips of the two aircraft. So the Mark V that's leading with the famous elliptical Spitfire wing. But what happened to the wingtips of the Mark 16? They were clipped, and it was found that having the clipped wingtips gave the aircraft better performance at low level. And so in the latter stages of the year, which is when the Mark 16 came into service, it wasn't so much dogfighting as a ground attack that the aircraft were used for. So not only better performance, but also with less wing to look down on, better visibility of potential targets on the ground.
And in the chat room, we have Ryan. Hi, Ryan. Thank you for sending those photographs across. And yes, I think it was Ryan that sent them anyway. So thank you very much. Phoebe Stone, how the devil are you, Phoebe?
Easier to repair because they were from an older generation than the Spitfire, which the Spitfire had its aluminium body and wingtip, which if it took a German cannon shell would cause a lot of damage, a shell which could pass straight through the canvas of a Humvee. Lead Spitfire, the D-Day veteran there wearing its D-Day invasion stripes.
Oh yes, Maurice, we're definitely back. You can't keep a good man down.
In D-Day, during the invasion of Europe, all Allied aircraft had those black and white stripes painted on them to make sure that friendly aircraft were easily identifiable. Which was the antecedent of the Spitfire. idea of the name for the aircraft was the Shrew. And the Supermarine Managing Director's daughter was renowned for being a bit of a Spitfire, and that was the name that actually stuck. More than 20,000 variants of the Spitfire were produced, including the naval version, the Seafire. And from the Mark I, which had an engine power of 1,050 horsepower, the latter Marks, with the Griffon engine much more powerful, had more than 2,000 pounds of horsepower.
Oh, Phoebe,
Basically
many thanks.
the same design.
Look at that. Phoebe Stern put a very kind donation. Thank you very, very much. With a big heart as well. Thank you.
Of course, these days, if you have enough money, you can actually fly in a two-seat Spitfire. There are a number of operators in the UK that have converted aircraft to two-seaters. How's that for something to go onto the bucket list?
Well, I hope you're
Can't afford
watching and listening to this on some really good speakers or on headphones, because this should sound fantastic.
And there is also now a two-seat Hurricane that you can fly. The only two-seat Hurricane in the world. How many Spitfires are there airworthy? It's probably around 50 or 60, something like that. There used to be only a handful of Hurricanes, there's now about 15. March 2000 to enable access to greater funding, and she returned to the air.
And as you can see, it's Sally B.
In 2007, she had a series of 4 separate engine failures which laid her low, but again she bounced back, thanks in no small part to a major benefactor, Bertie Ashby.
By the way, don't
She is now
forget, tomorrow morning,
on the right.
I might just do a live show from East Mids. Probably from around about 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. I wonder why I'm going there. Oh, nice one, Phoebe. Well, I hope you're picking this up pretty good. It should sound great. Because as usual, I use 2 separate mics, spread nice and evenly, and you should get a great stereo sound. So it should be sounding pretty good. Hey, I wonder if there's copyright on this particular tune in the background there. I better do a quick... anyway, it'll disappear in a minute. The sound of the aircraft will drown it out. Great tune though, hey? Can you hear that? Bit of Glenn Miller. Iron Man, you bet your bottom dollar. Iron Man 129 says, "Hey Stu, hope you're well. Could I get out a shout out for my wife, who is called Sally B?" I like it. That's good. Moonlight Serenade, yes. I don't know if it probably still is in copyright. I really no idea. Anyway, hiding behind the trees. Don't forget what you're watching tonight is totally unedited, okay? Straight off the camera. Which is something as a rule, I would never normally do. But because the show has literally just finished, I thought, hey, it's going to take quite a few days to get this all edited for you. So I thought,
you may recall,
As a thanks to the guys
Remember why?
at the Midlands Air Festival, I would put this out, and so you can see what you missed this year. And next year, you make sure you've got tickets for the show.
And I believe we've got the bomb bay open there. Partially open, just closed. So the way that the bombers of the US Army, Air Force and the Royal Air Force operated was the later in the war with the Germans, operational jet fighter, the Messerschmitt 262.
Got to say a big thanks to everybody for joining us again. It's
American bombers.
what a fantastic crew you are. You really are. Airshow world followers.
Of the B-17's defensive armament.
That's Maurice's phone going.
Very heavy. That was ameliorated when the P-51 Mustangs came on with their range.
I said to Maurice, I said, do you know what? I said, I'm going to really wind you up when I play this back.
All the way to their targets in eastern Germany. And so they developed the sobriquet of the bombers' little friends. You may have noticed that the inside starboard engine of Sally B has a black and yellow checker marking just behind the propeller. That's in memory of Ted White, who actually brought Sally B back to the UK for restoration. And Ted White.
Hey, by the way, talking of the internet, when I checked the super fast Virgin upload speed,
years later, so
would you believe it was 1.2? 1.2 megabytes.
That Ted White is forever flying in close.
So I've switched to the 3 network with the 5G box and this. Currently getting an upload speed of 45 megabytes per second.
Feet.
So you should be getting this absolutely spot on. If not, it's your end.
And here we are for the final fly past, emulating an injured aircraft limping back with 2 engines smoking.
Just while the music's there. Also, I've got to say
Returned in that
a
condition.
big thanks to the organisers
Holes in them as well.
of the air show this weekend. I mean, they really did pull the stops out.
Championship.
Lots of other air shows have been going by the wayside. These guys pulled it out the bag,
Aerobatics
socially distanced. They put measures in place,
replaced by the high performance
and boy oh boy,
monoplane.
big thumbs up. Thank you guys for this fantastic weekend. The Midlands Air Festival, that's what we're looking at.
Pit specials are still seen at entry and intermediate level aerobatic competitions, because as you can see they can still do quite a lot. The S2 was typically a 2-seat aircraft, but the S2S is just a single-seat. And even if it were a 2-seater, of course, no passengers would be carried during a display.
One of the things they actually did do to make sure this show actually went ahead,
Were the Rothmans team.
at the last minute they said, hey, everybody's got to take one of these flow tests, you know, the COVID tests.
Toyota aerobatics in the 80s and 90s.
Worked a treat, so easy to do. And if that meant the show could go ahead, it's well worth it. So thank you.
Inverted dive there.
Do you know what? I think I will have a pint on you there, Shane Smith. I think I need it after tonight.
Yes, there we are.
So thank you for your donation. It's much appreciated.
4G, very uncomfortable for Rich.
As you can see on these sort of shots, the sun had moved round, so we were literally taking directly into the sun.
Tensing his thigh and
But when it moves, here we go.
To restrict the flow of blood, washing up and down his body. Swapping the nose and the tail there, coming back to the same by Aviat.
But as I said, what you get in this evening is totally unedited, straight off the camera. So you're getting warts and all. So I think it's looking okay.
Now the second half of the display, which has built up a good amount of speed there, some good kinetic energy. Keeping the aircraft rolling with ailerons on the way up before transitioning into a torque roll at the top and sliding back down, hammer heading through his smoke trail. There we go.
As you can see, that is one heck of a powerful aircraft. The Pitts S2 SE modified, it says now.
Just when you think, oh, he's just going to do it.
Wouldn't it be rather cool, hey?
Loop.
Just imagine if you put jet engines on there as well. Sounds a bit crazy, doesn't it? But that's what he's trying to do. And if he gets approval for that, just imagine what that's going to sound like and what it's going to look like. So you may have seen this aircraft before, but in a different colour. That's because he has two. The other's in a Union Jack colour.
Vic formation and pulling up for the big Vic loop.
And right now, watch these. Team Raven.
They're the big Vic wing over to reposition, so they come into the centre. And as they come into the centre, number 5 will drop out. That's former RAF Tornado pilot Mark Southern. That looks pretty. Or maybe it's round the inside. I guess it depends how big your imagination is and how big your barrel is. Now we have 4 aircraft back in formation, 1400 hours, and Barry Gwinnett, who's a businessman from the northeast. There we go, a spectacular brake manoeuvre.
Member is Duncan Green, a 777 British Airways first officer, and a marathon runner, very keen about to do the South Downs Marathon.
Yeah, Aviation Kid, the Typhoons, they are still there.
In Arrow.
They were there on Saturday. They took off round about 5 o'clock on Saturday, same time again today, and arrived back at around about 5:45 after doing their display right here at the Midlands Air Festival. How many is there? 9. And it's the Tiger Moths.
You can see them being bounced up and down a little bit. There's a little bit of wind at height, and they're just controlling this very nicely. Beautiful formation.
But coming onto the stage now, from the left-hand side, the venerable Bell 47. What I love about this machine is that when you ask children to draw a helicopter, invariably they draw something like this. It just tells the story of rotary wing aviation, and this will be remembered.
By the way, Julie, is this the helicopter you were talking about earlier?
MASH series that was so famous on television. Coming up alongside that, we've got the Westland Scout. Both these aircraft have connections with the Westlands company, now Leonardo, of course, down in Somerset, but for different reasons. But we've certainly got a pair of warriors here. We've not just got a pair of warriors in the aircraft, but we've got two spectacularly good pilots in the cockpits. They're both ex-Army Air Corps Apache pilots, so they know quite a bit about armed conflict and action, and also working in hostile environments.
Oh yes, they certainly were there on Saturday, Aviation Kid.
What is, I think, so special
The
about
two Typhoons, they arrived on Friday, round about lunchtime,
now I say
after doing their practice display down here at
it's a very gentle
Ragley Hall. Then they went into East Mids,
overly dynamic, as I say, because
and they depart tomorrow.
these are relatively low powered compared to modern helicopters, and also they're historic, and therefore they're a little bit fragile and vintage, and we like to keep them in as best condition as we can. So leading from the front there, the Bell 47, known in Army terms as the Sioux. A lot, of course, Bell aircraft and American aircraft named, but particularly the helicopter fleet named after native Indian tribes. That is flown by Rich Pillens, as I mentioned, ex-Army Air Corps Apache pilot, but now the chief test pilot for Boeing. So we've learnt a lot from Rich, and he's helped us get this whole display momentum going. So coming in on the 45 from the right-hand side, behind him in the Western Scout is Matt Roberts. Spent the last 10 years as a police helicopter pilot, and again before that was one of the many Apache pilots to have been on operations armed with a GPM G-gun for various campaigns, particularly in Haiti, but it also served in Hong Kong, in Burma, at times in the Middle East, and many, but of course both of them were famous for operations in Northern Ireland, and particularly the Westland Scout. They're very popular with the Special Forces. They used to obviously broke out of it, do what we called Eagle patrols, which was to land ahead of perhaps suspect individuals on a roadside. A stick of troops would get out and surround the cars, and but the SS-11 missile that was fitted to the Scout made it basically turned it into an attack helicopter.
Thank you for the reminder there, Wayne.
Muscle and its capability crossing the old British Army line.
I've got the coconut tea on the go right now, I tell you. Don't forget to visit the Stu Bear sponsor, the Kent and Sussex Tea and Coffee Company. You can get 15% off. 15.
The co-pilot seat.
Use the code Airshow. I'll put a link in just a moment.
As well. So after a combat, and this came out in the Arab-Israeli war, you get literally miles of wire left on the battlefield. Also formed part of the Blue Eagles helicopter display team, the famous blue suits of the Army Air Corps in the 60s and 70s, which took over from the Skeeter. Skeeter was the Army's first operational helicopter. We have one of those at Wallop, which we're hoping one day we may get airborne again, but we're not sure. But this is how you would see them now hovering in a battlefield environment. The agility and movement they have, a bit of rearwards transition now from the Bell as Matt just...
There we go, link in the chat room right now, www.tea-and-coffee.com.
To do this behind the trees that you see, then to be able to bob up. The whole principle, we were talking earlier on today, Peter, about AOP, air observation post work. Every Army pilot does that. It doesn't matter what machine you're on. It was all about looking over the horizon and getting eyes on the enemy early. That is what the work was done. That is the real work was work. Now getting weapons on board was of course the game changer that led you into then offensive action, which the Apache does today. Well, here we are. It's a magnificent sight, and it's lovely with the lights on, giving you a bow now. I can't believe that's just gone in a flash. I could wax lyrical for hours. But ladies and gentlemen, one pair of the historic...
Still to come up tonight.
Taking a bow, and I just...
The Typhoon display.
Lead aircraft, for those of you down the eastern edge.
The Russian Spitfire. And I think we've got Otto the helicopter still to come. Oh, and the Catalina.
Yes, it had a very interesting last year, didn't it? In the autumn of last year, she suffered an engine failure whilst operating on Loch Ness in Scotland, and unable to take off. She was actually rescued by the Loch Ness RNLI, and in due course,
Mark,
lifted off the water.
I have the I'll make sure it's hot. I like it hot.
Change had to be carried out in the open.
What are we talking about?
Several weeks.
It's that fantastic coconut tea. Get it ordered right now.
Down, yes, that's the wing. So they
look under the video as well right now. Click on more,
floats,
and you see there's a link there. Take you straight to it. Use the code Airshow, uppercase,
And also,
and get 15% off all types of tea, over 1,000 different types. Okay, enjoy this.
To keep everything high.
I'm going to go real quiet
Penetration.
so you can enjoy the sound.
I had the pleasure of a flight in her from Duxford a few years ago, and there's just so much space inside. You could throw a party there, and of course with those great big blisters which were used for the crew to observe when they're looking for a downed pilot or something.
Well, yes and no. This one's got a checkered career, though, hasn't it? They spent a lot of time not being used way across on the west coast of Canada, and Nanaimo rescued, and it went off on a safari mission in Africa. I don't know if you recall that. And of course, that's where those blister wingers really came in commercially useful in terms of observation. You're absolutely right. Observation fantastic. And of course, they would spend hours and hours looking for downed airmen. And long before we had all these marvellous digital search and rescue beacons that talk to satellites, they did the most amazing job. And I mean, they're terrific stories. There's one of, getting a Mustang pilot, why they were there. They had an engine failure. They were then attacked by enemy Luftwaffe fighters, and they were bobbing around in the middle of the ocean. Extraordinary service from these pilots.
I said that I saw her alight on the sea off Sunderland. Unfortunately, it was only after that I learned that there was actually a version that operated at night that was known as the Black Cats, because of course the Black Cats is the nickname of the Sunderland Football Club. Wish I'd known that at the time.
But it's also a nickname in the Royal Navy as well.
Of course, black hatting.
Because
tell us
black
what
hatting.
black hatting means.
Well, it's basically spoofing. It's getting one over on your chums.
Yeah.
And of course that's why the Navy team, they only fly one of the Wildcats now. They still keep that name, the Black Cats.
Yeah.
Famous stuff. But I think it's the endurance of this. You're talking very, very long missions in very unpleasant weather conditions, a long way from the coast. And you've got to have real confidence in your airframe manufacturer to do things like that. And then to land on the ocean, bobbing around, you can imagine how fearsome that is in a boat, let alone rescuing somebody and then having to take off again. Marvellous sight.
Up to about 3,500 feet, Satan now perform a split-S manoeuvre, giving us a great view of the underside of the aircraft, revealing, as we've already discussed this year's Flying the Flag aerial scheme. The design was created as a collaboration between the team and a Eurofighter enthusiast, Adam Johnson. Adam also designed the Gina livery for the 75th BOB anniversary, which you may remember. He's trying to force itself into the top of his head as he completes a hesitation half Cuban back onto the A-axis. Again in from the right, he's going to conduct knife edge manoeuvring. At 9G, air is being forced into his G-suit, compressing his muscles, trying to keep the blood from draining from his head. Here's the on crowd, gear down barrel. Back down the line. Setting up for the slow speed pass. The Eurofighter ground speed to probably, as it's into wind, below 100 knots. It looks as though the aircraft's just hanging in the air. Nose held high, he's running 24. Back on the crowd on the 45. A half Cuban with 540 aileron bolts. And then a half horizontal back down into the max rate turn. G-turn, Sainty is unable to even lift his arms at all. And into the corkscrew. The Eurofighter has a hand-on throttle 6 system though, which means Sainty can completely safely control the aircraft even though he can't lift his arms. The G applied to his body will now make him weight equivalent to a Formula 1 racing car. Into the knife edge pass, then invert, and then push again. And it can be quite painful. On crowd back onto the B, into the quarter clover, Sainty's hardest manoeuvre. Technically difficult to get the exact 90-degree turn as he rolls into the water. Full back stick, burners on, he's going to exit the display. Back home to his Midlands. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the 2021 Royal Air Force Typhoon display.
That was super.
One word, hey, wow. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you're going to enjoy this as well. It's a rather special Spitfire. Displayed by Peter Teichmann. And it's known as the Russian Spitfire.
Extensive restoration by the aircraft's finder, Peter Monk, known as Mr. Spitfire himself because of the wonderful restoration jobs he does at the Biggin Hill Heritage Hangar. So yes, if you look closely, you will see Soviet red stars on this Spitfire, hence its name. It's also been christened Stalin's Spitfire. It was one that was led also a local lass, having been produced at the Vickers Armstrong factory at Castle Bromwich. That was on the 4th of August 1944 when she left that, and she was shipped via Murmansk to the 2nd Squadron of the 767th Regiment of the 122nd Division, I hope you're taking notes because questions will be asked, of the Russian Air Force, which was a Spitfire squadron. Unfortunately, she crashed during a dogfight in spring 1945 with just 29 hours on the airframe. Peter giving us a nice topside view there. And thankfully being successful in purchasing her. The aircraft then returned to the UK by a circuitous route, and she was then acquired by Angie Soper, who very sadly passed away within the last couple of weeks. She was famous for her Yak 11 display. So what came to the UK was a complete, although crashed, aircraft with the fuselage, large sections of the wings, Peter also flies the only Mark 11 Spitfire photo reconnaissance version that's in the UK, and also the P-51 Mark. The finished articles often have variable numbers of original parts, but it's good. But Peter is a stickler for originality. And luckily has the passion and the funds to ensure that the aircraft are restored to as original a condition as possible.
Wow, absolute. What else can you say but wow to that? And hey, that almost wraps things up. I've got a little bonus coming up for you in just a moment. And of course, I'll say good night to everybody in the chat room. But before I actually do that, I want to say a big thank you to the organisers of the Midlands Air Festival. And thank you guys for letting Airshow World go there for the weekend. And certainly had a great time. Don't forget, the videos you've seen tonight, they've not been edited, apart from just the last two. They're actually, if you want to see those again, they are on Airshow World right now, so you can watch those. The rest of it will be all edited together over the next few days, so certainly look for that. And possibly on Friday night I may do a few highlights as well, but whatever else we get this week. Tomorrow I will attempt to pop up to East Mids Airport. If there's anything happening, I'll hit the live. If not, so that's why it's important to make sure you subscribe to Airshow World, and then you will know if and when we're actually live. Just before we do go, I have got another feature for you, but just before we do that, we've got to have a quick word from our sponsor. Take it away. Hi, it's Stu Bear from Airshow World, and I'm very proud to announce our sponsor, the Kent and Sussex Tea and Coffee Company. And for viewers of Airshow World, you can get 15% off from the world's best tea and coffee company. Plus, you'll be helping Airshow World grow. Just use the code Airshow. That's the Kent and Sussex Tea and Coffee Company. Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. Right, I was just looking for this extra little bit that we can hopefully try to put on for you. I'm just checking this. Yes. Have you got this, Mr. Bear? Yeah, we've got it. Okay, let's try to hit this. If it works, here we go. Take it away. So this was Friday afternoon, just after it did its practice down at Ragley Hall. And you will see in a moment, this is not Ragley Hall. It's East Midlands Airport. And that's where they are at the moment. So don't forget, please check out Stubaire's sponsor, and as a thank you, you will get 15% off, 15%. Don't forget, that code is all uppercase, Airshow, and I promise you, even if you just want, even if you just want normal tea, I'm telling you, they do tea bags, and I tell you, it's the best I've ever had. My preference, coconut tea, of course, but they do over 1,000 different types. Check them out. Don't forget, if you're new to Airshow World, do the subscribe, hit the bell icon, because should stand you in good stead for when I actually go on these unexpected live streams. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. And there we go, the canards with the Union Jack. That's rather cool. Thank you very much, everybody. And thank you for joining us for the part 2. And as you notice, the internet was absolutely perfect. So, Virgin Media, I'm rather annoyed with them. But, hey, I'm pretty cool. You know, these things happen. There you go. You compare the two. I know which one I'd rather see. That beautiful painted up Typhoon. Thank you to the RAF for actually doing that this year. Normally we just get to see a grey, but that is and we deserve something special this year. A very special year to see a couple of air shows. I hope we get a few more later this year. But to everybody in the chat room, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being patient, and I hope you appreciate the mad panic we had to get this back up and running for you this evening. So thanks for coming back on, and look out for the full version, all edited and tidied up, of what you've seen tonight, because this was not edited, the show. So thank you very much. And that's just about it. So until next time, who knows, maybe even tomorrow morning. You just never know when the bear is going to pop up next. So have yourself a great rest of your Sunday. I have to think, because it's been so busy for the last few days. What with Friday, Saturday, and today. I just don't know where the heck I am. But I'm pretty sure, yes, it is Sunday, the 6th of the 6th. A very special day. You take care. Have yourself a great rest of your Sunday. Good night to everybody. Last mention going out to Apple Andy 82. Thank you very much. You can talk amongst yourselves, I think, for about another 10 minutes. But until maybe tomorrow or whenever, we'll see you then. Good night, everybody. Thank you from Stu Bear in the chair and Airshow World. Good night. Oh, thank you, Mark. Thanks for ordering the tea. I hope you enjoy it. Let us know.